The next question is, do I think producers should create terms that further describe processing? This one's a little bit tricky because I do not. Sorry, simple answer. I do not. No, I don't think that the problem or the barrier to people paying fair prices for coffee and to recognize coffee quality is that we've had a lack of words to describe the processing. Like, that hasn't been the bottleneck. There's way bigger social structures, there's way bigger cultural issues, there's way bigger political issues that are preventing that from happening. So I don't think that coffee hasn't been valued because producers don't have enough words to describe processing. Along that vein, when I sell coffee that I've processed and when I consult with producers, my advice is to make your processing simpler. I'm a big fan of going back to simpler terms and just describing coffees as wash coffees. So even if they are fermented with certain Saccharomyces yeast that are inoculated, even if the container is, a sealed container, it's still, for me, a washed coffee if we remove the cascara and are processing it that way. So I really like the kind of two channels of naturals are processed whole fruit and washed coffees are processed pulped without that outer tissue. So I believe that keeping it really simple and focusing on other things, focusing on the genetics, focusing on less tangible things about the producers in terms of farming practices or the values, that is much more of a selling point because, again, we're talking about marketing. So using words to describe processing, for me, is a very weak way to market your coffee when there are other levers that producers can pull that are already available to them without making any investments. So like highlighting things that make your coffee special that don't have to do with processing. As an addendum to this, that might not be that intuitive. So while I don't think that producers should create more terms to describe processing, like along the veins of the triple anaerobic hydro honey style, I actually do really like fantasy names. I like when a coffee process is called like galaxy process, something that is completely divorced from science. Like, we can't pretend that it's scientific. And I think it's a way for producers to have fun, to signal that they're doing something out of the ordinary, and that it invites more questions. So I think that in a way it could be perceived as, oh, you're obscuring, you're, not sharing the information. But I also don't think that we should, as buyers, think that we are entitled to a producer's, recipe. That's their intellectual property. So I think it's very valid for a producer to say, this is my unicorn process. And then they are allowed to share what that means if they want to or not. So those are like my two areas. Like, I want really simple, like this is just a washed, or this is a natural, or this is Milky Way fantasy coffee processing.